What is up, Faye Babes? I'm Aubrey.
And I'm Peyton.
And today we are reviewing the most anticipated book release of the entire year. We are only in February, but this is going to be the top ranking book. Sold out. House of Flame and Motherfucking Shadow by Sarah J. Maas.
Yes, so join us with a cup of coffee as we type between these paper sheets.
All right. Let's do this.
All right, everyone, my book girlies, and everyone else that has stumbled upon this podcast. Welcome. This is our most anticipated video of the year, and as Aubrey said, it's the beginning of the year. Do not know how we are going to recover after this one. But with that being said, we have a long episode for you today, so we want to jump right into it. Real quick, this is our non-spoiler section of the episode. Now, with that being said, as you can see, this is the third book in the series. So if you're here, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe start from House of Earth and Blood, and then we'll talk. But with that being said, we're just going to give our initial thoughts. We're not going to spoil the book, but you should have read the first two. Oh, and ACOTAR by now. If you haven't read ACOTAR, no one can help you. But after this point, there's non-spoiler, our NS section, and then we will get into all of the hot tea that Miss Sarah J. Maas has given us to sit on.
I'm so excited. This book, the hype for this book is unmatched. It was a whole media circus, and I love it. I
love
think books and women deserve their time in the spotlight. Like Sarah J. Maas was getting interviewed by Kelly Clarkson. She was on the Today Show. She showed up, and as she should. Peyton and I went to a midnight release party for the book, which was super fun. You could catch that in our vlog. I don't know. I loved the hype around it.
Yes, it's Kelly Clarkson was like, you would think you were Taylor Swift, and she's right. Sarah J. Maas is Taylor Swift of the book community. She has, to the point where it's like she's earned her spot,
Yeah.
She has all of these eras and all of these albums, and she kind of mingles them a little bit every once in a while, which we absolutely have devoured in this book. The hype is real, but it's warranted. Yeah. I am obsessed, and I'm happy with all of the attention this book has gotten. I had no idea what I was going to be walking into, and that was actually also very exciting, since we all know how House of Sky and Breath ended. So, oh my goodness. Let's talk about how we feel like book 3 compared to the other two.
Okay. I kind of thought going into this that this was going to be the Eras tour. I thought that we were going to be seeing. I mean, obviously, Bryce is in the world of Prythian, which is amazing. Yes. I was one of the many people hoping for Throne of Glass. Won't say how much involvement of any series is in because we are in our NS section, but this is still definitely this is a Crescent City book. And there are the Crescent City characters, including the ones that we love, Hunt and Rune and new fave Lydia. And then there's also Ethan and Therion, and they take up a major portion of this book.
Everyone feels the same about that.
I know.
Everyone has the same reaction. Therion chapters or Ethan chapters, you're like, oh, here we go. Yeah. So, if I had to rank them, I would do. It'd be 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
I like the first one the best. This one's great. This one's okay. Which is funny because I usually like the second book in the series the most. It's usually the third one that's my least favorite. I always end up. I love a nice little pre-romance, the whole tension and I love in Crescent City the first book where Bryce is working at Griffin Antiquities and Hunt is just chilling there and Lahaba's there. It's just I don't know. It made me feel good.
The first
You get that
book?
you got more banter because I mean, as far as
Yeah.
their relationship goes, it goes 1, 2, 3, which we will get
Oh
into later.
yeah, but I do think that that's an important part is that Hunt and Bryce, like, they're, like, coming together and, like, becoming a couple is all in the first book. Like, all of that, like, butterflies type of romance happens in the first book, and I feel like, the first book felt very, like, this is Crescent City. Like, it was there a slow middle? Yes. But everything you're just working on this mystery plot. The battle ending of the first book was amazing. I liked it better than the battle in the third book here. And then I don't know, this book, I also don't love the fact that the first two books, the way she does limited POV is that each character has a chapter and that entire chapter is from that one person's POV. And then in this book it changes based off of scene, which is like it's such a valid way like doing limited third person POV, but if you didn't do it for the first two books, like I think she should have just stuck with the pattern that she set up. I feel like it was so weird jumping around from people's heads between scenes
Yeah,
for a
it's
book
almost
series
like
that yeah.
didn't do it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost like I feel like she gave herself a lot of work in this book,
Mhm.
and she had to get a lot done in well, it's a big book, but in Sarah terms, a short amount of time. And so for her, she's like, "Well, guess I'm changing the way I'm writing how these people think." And yeah,
Well,
you
and
see that, you feel that in the book. Yeah,
I don't think you needed that. Like I feel like there was enough content for each person that you could have just like the way especially part 1 would work is that in each chapter you'd get a little segment from Bryce, you'd get a little segment from like Hunt or Rune, and you get a little
hmm
segment from Ethan. And then that would be
right.
each chapter, but you could have combined like 3 of Bryce's scenes into chapter 1 and then like 3 of Hunt's into chapter 2.
Instead of jumping, yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
you'd
I
be in a new
probably would have
paragraph, and you'd be like, "Whoa."
it probably would have made Ethan and Therion's point of view chapters feel even worse if they were longer. But I don't know. I feel like you shouldn't have switched style
She knew
the
because
last
like
book of a
when you're
series.
in a if a chapter started with Ethan, you'd be like, "Oh," but you'd
Yeah.
be like, "Well, hopefully Bryce comes through halfway through this
Yeah.
chapter." So it kind of kept you reading, and who knows? Maybe she was like, yeah, I need to like consistently have Bryce throughout because that's what I was reading for.
Yeah.
Um, is
Yeah.
Bryce's POV. Okay, so with that being said, Aubrey, you agreed with me. We've got it's in 1,
Yeah.
3, and
Yeah.
2 kind of for if we are putting our babies in a line. Listen, a Sarah J. Maas book is going to be an amazing book regardless.
Yeah.
But I am going to be very honest with everyone. Like House, Sky, and Breath. Like I was like, why am I still reading this book? Still like 4 stars from well, I guess like 3.5, but like 4 if we're
Yeah.
putting I'm
Yeah.
doing an Aubrey right now where I'm gonna put Sarah J. Maas in her own league
Yeah.
because I've given books I haven't like really like loved or would recommend 3.5 stars. So we're gonna rank this
Mhm.
in terms of Sarah J. Maas books. So if you've read like Throne of Glass, Akatar, Crescent City, like this is where these rankings are living.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not compared to if I gave a book club book that I was like, it's aight, 3.5 stars.
Mhm.
Because if I put a book club book next to this would be 17,000 stars. So,
Exactly. Yeah, like for an epic fantasy though, and like comparing this book to other books of Sarah's,
correct.
I don't know. I wasn't as obsessed with it. And it's not to say that like I don't think it's a bad book. I think that the hype was totally deserved of the book. And just the universe that Sarah has created. I really want to know what the first draft of this book looks like because for those of you who don't know, Sarah wrote the entire book and then scrapped it and started over. And I want to know what changes were made. I'm very interested in that. And like I don't think we'll ever know. But I just there's so much that has to go on in this book for there to be as much fluff in the middle of this book that there was.
Right. Yeah, correct. Yeah, I'm gonna give this like 4 stars.
Same.
I don't think that's a cop out. I don't. It's not 3 stars. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But I can't give it the 5
Mhm.
because I have read some 5-star books from Sarah. Um, Even the ending, I wanted it to be a little different.
Yeah,
So there are
yeah.
just some things, but like Rune story and like Lydia and
Mhm.
whatever like there are parts of this book and scenes where I'm like, this could be one of the best scenes this woman has ever written. Like, but overall, I was like, 4 stars. This is an amazing book. It very well, I could in December of this year, this could be my number one.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Like it's definitely going to be in my top 3 this year. Like
Mhm.
it has to be. It was such an amazing read and I had so much fun reading it. And I just loved Sarah. Like the whole time I was like, I cannot believe I have a new SJM book in my hand and I'm reading it as it came out
Yeah.
cuz your girl's knee deep in the Throne of Glass series right now and I feel so left
Uh.
out. Um so, it just feels good to read it as it. This is my first SJM release where I'm like reading it as it's
Oh,
come out.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
My first
feels
one I
good.
think was Sky and Breath. And then I like literally read half of it and put it down. So that I think that's another thing is that if you were obsessed with the Crescent City books, if you loved Sky and Breath and you've rated Sky and Breath 5 stars, you're going to be obsessed with this book. It
You're gonna love it even more.
absolutely it holds the energy. It is so much better than Sky and Breath was. And Sky and Breath was still like really
Amazing.
good.
Yeah.
I think that the part 1 of this book is amazing. It is hands down perfection. I mean, it could only be better if Ethan and Therion were not in the series. And then part 2, there's so much going on compared to the middle of the other 2 books. She is definitely like it is faster paced than other middles, but it's still a slow middle. I don't know why because I have read so many Sarah books where there isn't a slow middle and it carries the same pacing all the way across, but this just isn't it. This has a slow middle, even if it's a more exciting middle than the other 2 had.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Every Crescent City novel you pick up, there will be a slow middle portion of the
Yeah.
book. But if you are obsessed with the Crescent City world, characters, everything, it's not going to be slow to
Mhm.
you. I think
Yeah.
Aubrey and I both just I love the Crescent City crew. It's Sarah J.
Mhm.
Maas, everyone. One of my favorite series. I You better believe I was at my parents this week and I look at my mom and I'm like, Susan, when are you gonna read Crescent City? I wouldn't
Pick
do
me up.
that. I wouldn't do that and give someone these behemoth big mama books if I didn't believe in the characters and the storyline. But with that
Yeah.
being said, like, I'm sorry, like I just ACOTAR just like clicked for me. Like Throne of Glass is just like clicking for me. So it's just like it's different. And
I
but I
think it comes
love
down
it.
to length. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the length of the book is so heavily impacting because if you think about it, in Throne of Glass, obviously Kingdom of Ash is huge. She's just ginormous. But the other books are like 300 pages shorter. Like they're 600, 800 pages. And that's kind of my fantasy sweet spot. Like that
Yeah.
600, 700
600.
spot.
Yeah.
But the second you're hitting like 900, I'm like, we didn't need those
You
extra
lost
100
me.
pages. Those extra
Yeah.
50,000 words just weren't actually necessary to the plot. Like, you could have cut some stuff.
Yeah.
And then part 3 is super exciting. Bryce is a mastermind. Bryce is always going to be a mastermind. Plots. I just hate battle scenes. And I never think that the last series book in a series is the best because obviously if you are given an epic fantasy novel, you are expecting the final book to be the battle
The
scene. And
battle.
this is all prep for this battle. Obviously, we have to kill this Sari. Like that is the plot of this book, prepping for this final battle. And then I think Sarah has done a much better battle scenes. I think this one fell a little flat, and then I also just don't like battle scenes. I also just like Kingdom of Ash is one of my least favorite books because it's just all war, and I'm like,
Yeah, and if you love war, Kingdom of Ash, I've heard people be like, Kingdom of Ash is the best book
yeah,
because they're
yeah.
just like, war. So it's fantasy really is just like pick what you like don't
Mhm.
take anyone's like review too seriously because we all have our own opinions. But with that being said, we
Let's
need
get
to
into the
move
good
on.
stuff. Yes, yes.
Yes, we need to move on to the bread and butter of this book and the hot tea. And so, with that being said, we are in our spoiler section. I'm sure most people that
Spoilers.
are watching us right now have read the book. Once
Yeah.
again, this is a third in the series, but we will. I'm not holding anything back. So
No.
this is our spoiler section. The way that Aubrey and I decided to do this is we're going to try to briefly skim over every part of this book. Um,
Yeah.
we know that is probably not the case, but we just want to hit all of the major plot points. Aubrey did something very, very funny and unique and amazing in the vlog, and she gave her own all the chapters in the book their
Yes.
own title. So Aubrey really masterminded this and was able to give us the important stuff for each act. So
Yeah.
we can try to just like kind of punch through this, but
Mhm.
also like talking about what happened, guys, because
I
there was a
know.
lot in this book.
We're gonna go so in detail, like, we've never gone in detail before, and then, like, don't compare it to other podcasts, though, because, like, I know that people go, like, chapter by chapter, and we're not there. But Peyton and I have also not talked about this book at all. It's been so hard keeping my mouth shut around her, and, like, every time we start talking about it, we'd be like, "No, we have to stop. We have to save
Save it
it."
for the podcast.
So
Save it for the podcast.
have been editing the reading vlog, so I'm hearing a little bit more of her thoughts through
Okay.
that.
Yes.
But let's start with the amazing first chapter and just beginning idea that Bryce is a prisoner. She is Rhysand's prisoner. Because, like, okay, of course, you get this random bitch who's speaking the old language, teleports to your world. Like, of course, they're going to be on guard. And so they take her to is it to the House of Wind? Or is it the other one?
Like under the mountain or whatever.
Yeah, like, I can't remember. I think
Or
they
like
just took
not
her to
like
the
under the
House of
mountain, but like
Wind and not the
okay. I
house
thought I thought
above
they took her
Queen
to like
City.
the night court, like the night court. In my head, that's
Well,
I
so
was
she
confused exactly on her location, but the way that they
yeah.
had, I don't know. You would think that if she was under the House of Wind, that like all those tunnels, like those motherfuckers
Mhm.
would know about, and they're like, "We didn't know this was here." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean you didn't know this was
Oh,
here?"
they took her to Az's torture chamber. That's where they took her. So wherever that
Oh,
is,
that's weird.
I'm not sure where
Yeah,
that is, but it's not
I
all the
want to
way
be
out
there.
towards Queen City. But yeah, because it has like the beast and stuff, and then she will crawl down into the tunnels. But
Yeah,
that section was so like I, I ate it up. I loved it. But it was
it's like
also
best
so
chapter.
hard to read in like a good way because obviously we love the Akatar characters and we love Bryce. And they're like
Yes, like
and
mom, dad, stop
they
fighting.
don't trust each other and they're like all on edge and I'm like that makes sense. Like there's no reason that the Akatar characters would trust Bryce and there's no reason that Bryce would trust the Akatar characters and this carried throughout the entirety of part 1 from Bryce's POV. But the whole time I'm like, "But guys, I want you to be friends."
But Nesta, Bryce, you guys are like the same person. They have the same like tude and like just vibe.
Yes,
Just
I love that
badass.
they really bonded.
Yeah. I when Sarah released that right before the book came out, I
Yeah.
read it and I was like, this is going to be the best book I have ever
Yeah.
read. Like
Mhm.
this is so good. And but with that,
I think
I
if
was
the
like,
book was
ugh.
edited down to just Bryce's POV and, like, maybe a little bit of Hunt, Rune, and Lydia's, I think it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for reals. No, but I loved seeing that.
Mhm.
And then while Bryce, like, and they give her that pill, and then, like, when Nesta goes and, like,
Yeah.
sees her back, she's like, "Oh my god," and then I just love, when Reese is, like he, like, clicks his fingers and she's, like, got new clothes on,
Mhm.
and he's like, "I don't wanna be in your mind if I don't have to be," and
The only time
I
he
don't know.
was nice in the entire book.
Yeah, yeah, but
Uh,
with that being said, at that s and while she's going through that, and I'm like, "Give us more ACOTAR characters," we go back to, Hunt, Rune, and Baxian getting
yes.
tortured, and they are tortured the whole act 1, and we knew this
Mhm.
was coming. We knew this
Yes.
was coming.
Actually, Sarah's like, you should be afraid for Hunt. You should be afraid for Rue. She even said in an interview that they had it worse than sorry guys, a little bit of spoilers, than a character from Throne of Glass. I won't say who or what, but the torture that happens in Throne of Glass. They said they have it worse. And like honestly, I don't know. I don't think they did. Like for real,
Yeah, I was expecting a little more.
I was expecting a lot more. I just and
I thought
like
they were gonna kill
whatever. Like
Baxian.
I'm glad like, the grossest part was when Baxian chews off Rune's hand, and, like,
Mhm.
that's disgusting, that's horrific, gruesome, but, like, she also didn't go into details because that's not Sarah's, like, writing style, and so, like, just thinking about what they went through, like, they just got, like, a little physically assaulted and, like, had to hang, but they still got, like, breaks, they still got to eat, like, these are immortal beings, you don't have to be doing any of that. At one
I
point,
just
Lydia yeah, like, she gives him, like, the healing thing, and so, like, they start healing, and then we don't address any trauma that happens from that
to them.
again in the series.
This is a huge thing, and we'll pick up with this in, like, Act 2.
Mhm.
But literally, I have one note down on my phone. It said, "So why'd we just scoot on past Hunt, Rune, and Baxian's trauma?" Like,
Yeah, yeah.
don't understand that, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Ugh.
Um, I don't understand. And then while that's happening, there's no reason for us to really talk about this because then there's this like side quest with like
Oh my
Ethan,
god.
Therian, and like all the frat boys with the Viper Queen, and like it's kind of interesting to see this like underground. We understand the Viper Queen and like Ariadne's there, whatever. Listen, I'm over it. I don't freaking
I'm
care.
so over it.
I'm
I
like so
actually
over it.
I can talk about everything that happens with Ethan, up until, like, act 3. Like, I can group part 1 and part 2 right now. It's fucking annoying. We end on him, like, finding Sigrid, this, like, Fendry's heir, and it's this huge big thing that's supposed to, like I'm like, "Oh, like, I'm suffering through Ethan chapters because she's going to be important, because Sarah J. Maas writes books about women,
Defend
and
your
she's going to
heirs.
bring
Yeah.
in this amazing female woman character." And then this bitch, Danica's aunt, never talks, fucking dies immediately, and then we bring go through this whole plot to bring her back, and then she's
As a
just like,
reaper.
"Nah, I'll be a reaper," and then we don't touch that again. Literally everything that happened with Ethan and Therion, they were making stupid ass mistakes the entire book, and it was just to promote book 4 because Sarah talked about how is the end of Bryson Hunt's story, and then what do we have left? The House of Many Waters. Okay, so we're gonna get book 4, House of Many Waters, in like 4 years, and it's just Ethan and Therion dicking around, and I don't even want to read it. Like all of their chapters just felt like promo for this fourth book that will come out eventually in the future, and it was unnecessary. And like
Yeah. The thing is, Therion's character, Ethan's character, maybe not Ethan, but Therion's character is the character that authors set up as part of that inner circle, that group, that like die hard, let's go save the
mhm.
world. And that is the character you kill off. Okay? To send that gut
Yeah.
punch home to the reader that's like, wow, like when Connor and Danica died, we didn't even really know them, but we know how much that affected Ethan and
Yeah.
Bryce. And so
Mhm.
and then it was so stupid. Ethan gets so upset, and then they're like going to go save, which we are going to talk about in a little bit, is this jailbreak scene. And
Mhm.
Ethan's like, I gotta go. And he just like
I gotta
runs off.
leave.
He's like, I gotta go. And like little puppy boy, like runs off into the sunset because he's like, I have to go fix this. And we
Yeah.
never like, and then that's it. And so his character was important to introduce, and it was nice to see him close with like Jessica, and
Yeah.
we got to see what the House of Flame and Shadow was all about. That
Mhm.
carried that plot along, but man, I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like, it's good.
I feel like he could have had a better, like, more significant interactions with Sabine, and like it still could have led up to him killing Sabine and becoming Prime. We did not need any of the Sigrid stuff. None of that was important in any way, and it fell through in the end. It fell through in the end, and we just don't care about it anymore. So that was stupid. Let's get back to my favorite people in the world, Bryce and Nesta and Azriel. I was obsessed with how much Nesta was in this book. I did not realize she was going to be a main character because she
She
really
was
was.
the main character.
And that made my whole fucking life. So out of my like little chapters that I wrote, I'm not going to read them all on the pod here, but if you want to hear them all, you can check out our reading blog. But so like I literally have so many chapters, like chapter 6, Nesta still got it. Chapter 7, Nesta is super hot. Chapter 9, God, Nesta is hot and powerful.
Yeah.
Like chapter 14, Lady Death, my love. Chapter 12, girl talk and sexual tension. Like I was obsessed with Nesta being here and seeing her with motherfucking powers, because Silver Flame ends with her giving up her powers to the Cauldron to save Feyre and Rhysand's stupid asses. Because why would C-sections not exist in a world? That's besides the point. So I was so upset that Nesta had to give up her powers, but so seeing her still powerful and like rocking it was amazing.
Yes, I love when she like goes under the mask and Azriel's
Mhm.
like Nesta. Like he's like
Yeah.
trying to talk to her and she's just like all fury. And I love whenever they reference the silver flames in her eyes. I'm just
Mhm.
like, I love that Nesta has become the ACOTAR forefront character. Like I just love
Yes.
the like evolution that
Mhm.
that character has take. But we don't talk about Nesta anymore because we get hate every time we talk about Nesta. But with that being
Oh my
said,
gosh.
Nesta's fucking badass in this book. And
Yes.
I think she sees Bryce for who
Mhm.
she is and understand like they
Yeah.
understand each other. And Bryce gets Nesta. And
Yeah.
Bryce gets to the point where she's like, she scares me. And no one really scares Bryce. Bryce scares people.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so
Oh my
it was
gosh.
so cool to see them like I know that they hang out on the weekends. Like
Yes.
I know for a fact, and I love that Reese wasn't the main guy.
He was kind
Farah
of the
like
villain.
never shows up. Yeah, and so I love that Sarah. And this is a promo too. Like if
Mhm.
we're being fair, like she's pushing Asriel to the front for a reason. Like let's be real,
Yeah.
that could
Mhm.
have easily been Cassian,
Yes.
easily. And it was
Mhm.
Asriel. And so it was really cool to also see like Nesta and Asriel's banter and how they're kind
Yeah.
of like brother and sister,
Uh-huh.
maybe lovers on the
Okay.
weekend. Um so we know there's a threesome out there. So with that being said, oh, but everyone said this. Everyone said this. And now we all are kicking ourselves in the ass because we understand it was probably just because of Truth Teller and
Ugh,
all of that. But y'all, Sarah
guys,
teased the fuck out of us, and I felt so stupid. I put this in the reading vlog. I'm like, Hunt's gonna die. Bryce and Azriel are gonna be mates. And
that's
then
what
the
I
next
wanted so
ACOTAR
bad.
book, I was like, and you thought the same thing? There's a girl in our book club that's like, wait,
Mhm.
I thought that too.
No, it literally okay,
Literally
and
holding hands.
here's my thing, is that Sarah writes romantasy. Like, I know these are more high fantasy, whatever bullshit. She writes romance. You cannot put me with two hot characters who are having this like steamy tension and being drawn to one another. I don't care if it was the fucking weapons. That's Az's weapon and Bryce's weapon. And it was hot as hell. And they hold
It was
hands.
hot.
So if she didn't want me to ship them at all, she shouldn't have like think about this book. Okay, in the entirety of this book, she fought with Hunt 90% of the time, but was holding hands with Az. Like she didn't hold Bryce Hunt's hand.
No.
I still ship it. I don't care. Do I think they're going to be endgame? No. Do I think that there's a chance that Bryce never sees the Akadar characters again? Possibly.
But
But
I
it
am
was but
pretty
for a
sure.
moment. I lived in that moment.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I'd be okay with this. Because there's this whole debate right now for Azriel that Azriel could be with so many like
Mhm.
he is
Yeah,
literally the motherfucking bachelor right now. Everyone's like,
he
who's he
is.
gonna give the rose to? It is hilarious. I love the scene in part one when Bryce like dives headfirst in that like cold ass river. And she's like swimming and Ness has to dive in after her and she's like, are
Yeah,
you fucking kidding me? And then she runs into Azrael basically. Like Azrael is there
yeah.
like the whole time and he's like, "What why?" And she's like, "You've been
It,
here the whole time." He's like, "Yeah.
Ness is
I
like, we didn't have
literally
to
live in the
swim.
shadows." Like it was and the way that they were bantering, I was like so, and then my favorite part in the book is like his wings filled up the whole cave because Azrael is known to
That
have the
wingspan
biggest
though.
wingspan of all the bad boys. And so
Yes.
that is why Azrael he's my favorite. But yeah.
Speaking of couples, kind of the MVPs of this book was
Yes.
Lydia and Rune. I
Yeah,
loved their interactions in Sky and Breath as Agent Day and Agent Night. Like that was super cute.
I
And then
loved it.
obviously at the end of Sky and Breath, Rune's like, oh, "You're the Hind? The woman that I'm in love with is the Hind?" And so, like, he starts obviously in part one here, he's like not letting her talk to him and very salty and like angry at her. But that just brought enemies to lovers back, baby. Like, that brought back the
I
tension
love
that Hunt and Bryce have not had since book one. And
Yes.
I loved seeing it. Lydia was so fucking smart engineering the jailbreak that we'll see in part two. Put respect
Yeah,
on her name.
seriously. Lydia Lydia's character is the like it's a lot of times in
Yeah.
fantasy series when the main love interests are like fully set up and like they've been through their shit, you start feeling
Mhm.
like a little dry. You're just gonna like, well, like what's next? Like, are we just
Yeah.
gonna fight battles now? Like, where is the
Mhm.
steamy love? And Rune and Lydia's love story was so unexpected and so amazing and like
Yes.
could honestly be better than Bryson Hunt's
It
because
is.
of just like man, like seeing them fall in love with each other. And we know Lydia as like the hind, like this badass,
Yeah.
ruthless, will kill anyone in like the blink. And then we find out that backstory and also the abuse she endured from Pollock's, like when she like gave herself her period to like basically not be sexually abused. Like
Yeah. Ugh.
and like how do you come back from that? And then just her mastermind abilities to be like, well, we're gonna heal them so we can torture them even more. And
Yeah.
then Rune just being a badass, like, not badass, an asshole the whole time to her, and you're like, bitch, you don't even know what's gonna happen. Like,
No. Oh my gosh. I literally feel like Lydia and Rune were in their own little like love story romance book throughout this entire book. Like anytime you're in
yes,
one of their POVs, all they're doing is thinking about the other person and they like have meet conflict, but like think about it in part 2. In part 2, Deck and Flynn are like fucking kidnapped and they're just like, will they, won't they? Like should I like lick her in the
not
hallway?
there.
Maybe. And then even their battle in the like final battle, I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but like all of it was just character development between them and their relationship and other stuff that we'll get to when we get there. But
Yeah,
I
and
loved it.
we'll get there, but like the Team Caves, Team Archives, it was Team Caves figure out this stuff for the plot, Team Archives build these characters' love story.
Yeah,
Like that
fuck.
is like that
Team
was the
Archive,
purpose.
fuck.
Yeah,
Oh
we're
my
going to the
gosh.
archives not to find out shit. We're gonna fuck. Um, Oh
final
my gosh.
thing that we found out in part 1 is
Yes.
Discord equals the
Discord.
Valbarian Fae confirmed. That was such a huge theory that everyone had, and I loved seeing some of our theories come true because a lot of them didn't. That was so awesome. The little FaceTime like voicemail that the ones
Celine.
what was her name? Celine
Celine. She came as through like
left.
an apparition, and then we
Yeah.
learned the whole history, which was so helpful moving forward, knowing like how
Yes.
everyone was connected and like why she landed in Printheon and like
Mhm.
how she's Celine is basically like an ancestor of Reese's
Yeah.
because she
Mhm.
married the Night
The guy.
Court whatever High Lord
Yeah.
whatever.
So she comes down
So
through that, and, like, that's kind of
yeah.
how, I guess, the shadow powers got connected in, because the shadow powers are, like, the, like, yin to yang of the Starborn powers.
Starborn powers. And so, wait, with that being said, so this part act the end of act 1 is absolutely insane, probably my favorite part of the book when
Mhm.
Celine's apparition comes through. Bryce gets really upset because she's like, "My ancestors are fucking assholes," because
Yeah.
Celine like closed the portal before all the children could come in. And in the reading vlog, I basically say like, "Okay, basically everything we just learned we're about to relive."
Yeah.
Because and then like do it the right way, right? So it doesn't happen again. Does that mean that Bryce and Reese are related? Because Celine is
Yes.
her ancestor on the Starborn side, but then Reese's great granddaddy, Boomashumba, whatever,
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're kind of related because that's the whole reason that, like, Bryce talks about how Reese looks just like Rune. She's like, "This looks like my brother." And it's because they all go up to Thea.
yeah, Thea.
Um,
Yeah,
Thea, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, they are. Uh, I don't know. It's kind of funny,
it's interesting.
especially because like Reese is like, "I hate that bitch."
Reese hates Bryce, and I'm like,
Oh my
yo,
gosh, if
like,
you I've only read half of it, but the bonus chapter from Ember's POV as she's back in the Printheon world,
yeah.
uh Reese like really just does not. He's like she is reckless and stupid and soft-hearted, and I'm like, okay, haha. Also, Reese aside, the like literally, I just want to talk real quick here about Nesta killing the Astari because
Oh,
started doing it and then got interrupted. And then Nesta, like I understand that it's like a very drained Astaria. I actually said in my chapters, I said this feels like a season of the Vampire Diaries where we're like waking up one of the vampires, but they're like kind of
because
dead
it's
and
very.
weak as like Vesperus gets
I
woken.
thought the Asteri that was, and that Asteri is the one that made the
Yeah.
weapons,
Yeah.
and so like that was really cool to kill the
Mhm.
person using their weapons that they made. And then Bryce is like, "No, I need to figure out things," and Ness is like, "We are not doing this. We are
No, we're
not
not
doing
fucking
this."
around. And then Bryce
She's fine in
dips
the end.
and she gets out of there. And it was so cool seeing Bryce in that ACOTAR world. And
Yes.
like I understand that we had to move on from that, and I think that Sarah did
Yes.
the right balance of having the ACOTAR world included, linking those threads, but still being like, this is a Crescent City novel. We
It's not
need to
Akatar.
be in Midgard. We
Yes.
need to be focused on the Crescent City
Yes.
characters.
And I even said this in the vlog. I was like, "Oh, I don't want her to leave Akatar. I want her to come back." But also, like, this isn't an Akatar novel. This is a Crescent
Yeah.
City novel. So, like you
Mhm.
said, like, it's not about this. She got the information. She literally got the information she needed to know
Yeah.
from that apparition of Celine, like telling her the whole history
Mhm.
and how the Asteri have been polluting the waters and all that
Oh,
shit. So then
yes.
it kind of lines up how we're going to see these next couple of acts. Um,
Mhm.
Also, I can't be the only one that thought all the monsters, like, caged underneath that, like, mountain were like, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna, like, come through the portals." In the last scene, my
Oh.
predictions at this point were that in that last battle, Azriel and Nesta were gonna come and help them.
Oh, yeah. No, that didn't
Spoiler, they
happen.
don't. They don't. They're, like, sipping tea instead. I mean, they serve
Yeah.
their purpose, but
Yeah.
I really thought that not all that guitar, but Nesta and Azriel would make.
Yeah.
'Cause in
That
who
would have
knows,
been
if it's the next
cool,
ACOTAR book,
but
Bryson Hunt will make an appearance.
yeah. I wanna talk when we get to the end here about, the next ACOTAR book a little
Oh,
bit
yes.
and why I think maybe she didn't have them show up in that final battle. But we get to part
Part 2.
2, and it kinda kicks off with Bryce and the Autumn King, and they're kinda playing, like, 20 questions back and forth with each other. Um,
Okay, first date.
honestly I thought it was cool, but I will say that, like, when we got to the end of her, like, kind of interactions with her dad there, I I felt nothing when she revealed that she could, like, break out of the chains, and she actually had a plan all along, and she traps her dad in the basement. Like, I feel like we've gotten so many of these, like, Bryce moments where she, like, secretly had a plan that we weren't told even though we're in her POV. Like, it happens so often now in these series that it's almost cliche, and I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, I don't really care.
I honestly, um, am stupid, because I was like, "Oh, well, like, he had something to do with it or something." Because like, the Autumn King is, like, he's not a weakling, like, he has
No.
powers, like, there's a reason why Bryce is the way she is, like, her mom's a
Yeah, yeah.
human, like, she didn't get that lineage
Exactly.
from nobody. She wasn't bitten by a
Mhm.
spider, like, so
She's not a superhero.
yeah, so in my head, I'm like, "Okay, the Autumn King is, like, not to be trusted." I thought for a second, we're gonna get
Mhm.
a, like, resurrection, like,
Oh.
almost like, like, this is I'm gonna be good, and
Mhm.
no, he's
No,
just
none
an
of that
asshole.
happens. Yeah.
So to everyone who hates Nesta, this is what Sarah does with shitty people. She kills
Yeah.
them off. And for people that deserve a redemption arc, they they get one. I thought there was gonna be a redemption arc
Oh.
for a second, and that her and the Autumn King were Bryce because the Autumn King has been searching for this information for years.
Yeah.
So Bryce
Mhm.
has it. So in my head, I'm like, okay, Bryce and her dad are gonna be like, listen, dad, this is what's going on. He's been like
Mhm.
building these prisms of light and all this
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
And he's gonna be like, oh my god, I did not know this. You are the missing piece of this story. Like,
Mhm.
blah blah blah. I'm a changed man. No.
Or
No,
at
no, no,
least
no,
could have
no.
been like, "You're my enemy, but the Asteri are, like, worse." And so she
Yeah.
like, they would have had to, like, I thought they were gonna have to create, like, a fake pact of, like, "We don't like each other, and we're gonna have to deal with shit later, but for right now, like, we have a common cause." And, like, that just didn't happen. And,
Right.
like, we kill him 10 chapters later, so
This
I don't know.
the Autumn King felt very much like Roman's dad and Ruthless Vows.
Yeah.
If anyone read those books, the whole time I was like, this feels very like I'm
Like,
working
I'm missing
basically with the
something.
devil. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or yeah. Yeah.
I was
But
like, this feels
anyways
very like, oh, I can't work with the Asteria anymore because they're like really bad and they're going to take away my power. But like, I'm
mhm.
kind of stuck working with them now because I don't want to die. And I'm going to use my daughter as like collateral and like use her powers. And so, yeah, she locked him in the closet. I'm like, girl, just kill him. He's going to come back. And of course he does. Um, of course. I'm like, why the closet? But she goes into Rune's room and finds that little shot thing and helps herself out. But we were able to also learn a little bit more about Rune too through that, since
Yeah.
Sarah was really pumping up the Rune and Lydia story. So it really
Mhm.
made sense why when she like went through his room. And that, because his room wasn't touched, I was like, "Oh, we're getting a redemption arc," because you
Yeah,
could
like,
tell.
that's when you're like, "Oh, he's gonna be forgiven," and it didn't happen. There's no plot there.
But I was surprised by Bryce. And she like took him off. I was like, "Oh my god!" This.
No,
She's
I
like,
was like,
"I
"I'm
meant
done."
to come through here," and I was like, "Okay." Um,
Okay, so
Jailbreak.
Jailbreak, Fast and Furious, SJM's version.
Yes.
I think that okay, one, awesome. I love that Lydia was, like, kind of masterminding this jailbreak. I think that was perfect. But I think this is kind of shows one of the reasons that I don't like this book series this as much as some of her other books because I don't like the modern shit. I don't like that we were literally watching like Fast and Furious, like black the
On the car.
cameras and then get in the
Oh, okay.
Jeep and like we're racing in this Jeep and I'm like, no, this isn't the fantasy that I want. This isn't the fantasy I like. Um
But remember when the Akatar characters find Bryce's phone and they're like, "What is this?"
yeah, that's funny.
And hunts her like background, and she's like, "That's my mate." I'm
Mhm.
like, "No, Azrael's your mate."
No,
You're
you're
wrong.
wrong.
You're wrong. Yeah, this
Um
I love this scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in the book. After
Mm.
they're done with their Fast and Furious
Oh,
journey,
okay, yeah.
it's
So, like,
when
Lydia
Lydia.
almost dies,
No, well, she
but,
turns
like
into a stag.
oh, you before that, okay.
Yes. No, when
Yeah.
she's running. No. This is one of my favorite parts in the book. When Rune is like down for the count, he's like crying the whole time. Like every time he hears uh Declan's voice and stuff, he just starts crying. And
Yeah.
he sees Lydia, and like you could do like, man, this man is in love right now. But he's not doing well, and so Hunt and Baxian have to carry them away
Yeah.
to the Ocean Queen's whatever.
Mhm.
But Lydia's like, no, I have to
No.
hold them off, like, run. Oh my god. Reading this, I don't know, because I was like alone, like totally not distracted. When she transformed into the deer, stag,
The
whatever, I
stag,
was like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just when people shift into animals like deer, I don't know. It gets me
Yeah.
thinking. I haven't read all of this book series, but I don't know. I'm just like, And then they go back into her story a little bit, and like her bloodline is like fucking ancient.
Yeah.
And I was like, hmm,
They don't really talk about,
interesting.
like yeah, like, she's a shifter, and then she's also half witch. Not that she ever has any of witch powers, because Apaxia is her sister.
Correct. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
interesting.
I
I'm
have
just
more to
waiting for.
say about that when we get to, when she takes the cure.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's
So
like
we'll
so there it carries on. But I got my
Mhm.
like, so is someone going to fall from the
Hmm.
sky? And is her name Aelin? I was
Hmm.
just waiting. I was waiting for her to find her long lost relative. Okay, so moving on.
Moving
I
on.
thought she
Okay,
was gonna
so
die. She doesn't.
I was like, "Nah, she's not gonna die." I was like, "She's"
I didn't think
like,
so either.
my chapter title was, "She's fine."
She's
But
fine.
I loved the hospital scene. Like I was not a Chase girly, but her scene after that with like Rune waiting at her hospital and he's like, I don't even love her. Like cuz like in his head he's still mad at her. He's like, I don't trust this person, but like he will not leave her side was so romantic. And then she wakes up and she races out of there. And I was like, what's going on? And he's like following her and she has sons and I ate up
Twins.
everything about that. And I was like,
Ah,
"Oh my
it
gosh,
all makes
this is
sense.
why she became like she
Behind.
defected and became an agent. Like everything's making so much sense. Little mama SJM coming out cuz she just had a baby. So of course like now like Farrah's having a baby and like Lydia's a mom and I'm like, "Ah!"
And now Rue, oh my god. So we were like, and Rune's not just like, oh, she has kids. It's like, oh, she
Yeah.
has kids. And it's like, Rune, you're gonna be a stepdaddy.
Oh, I was fucking dying when he said, he's like, "Hey, I didn't freak out when I learned you had kids. Like when the woman I'm into has kids, I think I should get points for that." And I was like, "Shut up."
He's like,
Like
Rune's still a
true, but
douche.
like shut up,
can't
little
take
frat
can't take the
boy.
frat boy out of Rune.
Oh my god.
Um,
No.
no, I love that. I love that. And then they have the everyone's pissed, right? Because
Yeah.
they're fugitives. Darien messed up. The River Queen is pissed. The Ocean Queen's like, my sisters are mad at me. Like, what are we gonna do? And then of course they have this meeting, and like any Sarah J. Maas political encounter, no one knows how to talk. But the big part here
No.
is that Bryce shows up. Bryce decides to make an entrance again. And we get
I
the Hunt
love
Bryce reunion no one wanted.
no one wanted. And it was so lackluster. Like she comes in and she's like, a queen is
Hey,
defending Theory inside. I was like, yes, bitch. And then she just like, I mean, obviously I get she's in a meeting. She can't like jump into Hunt's arms or whatever. But like I feel like once they leave, like once they are alone, like no, there's no sparks. There's no chemistry between her and Hunt anymore. It's like they chose each other and then just we're like, oh,
okay,
I guess
this
we're
is
living
it.
this now. This happens in almost all of Sarah J. Maas's books, all of her characters. It's my biggest ick and like pet peeve with her work and writing. It's that none of her characters can keep their cool. None of their characters can just keep their shit together. They have no decorum, political decorum. They would not survive in like the fucking Game of Thrones. They cannot play the game. Anytime that there was an important meeting, it'll just be like, and then he couldn't just help himself and he rushed at her or like he did this. Like, think about it. In Akatar, they have like the huge High Lord meetings and the Night Court loses their shit. They cannot contain themselves. No one can contain themselves. We're talking to like big scary people and like I get it. I love Bryce's humor and like there's a time and place for her to be like haha jokes and shits and giggles during like against a scary person. I understand that's part of her personality. But these men lose their shit. They are whiny. They cannot there's no political finessing going on at all. Like I think the best political finessing we saw was in Silver Flames with Nesta against like Eris. And but like that's the
Yeah.
only time. And even then, by the end of that, Cassian had to like break up their little dance. Like he couldn't keep his shit together. Why can these like big powerful royals and politicians not
Not
keep
keep it
their
together.
damn shit together? It's so frustrating. It happens throughout the entirety of this book. It happens throughout the entirety of all of her series. I'm over it. I'm over it.
It is annoying. Yeah, it's like a definitely you're just like, and here we go.
Mm,
The idiots are now talking politics with people that they do not know what they're talking about, and they have egos because every single one of a Sarah J. Maas frontrunner has a huge ass ego, and they
yeah,
just cannot get over it. I mean,
these
I guess there
alpha
would be
holes.
plot without that, but still, you're just like, really, um, can't be on the other side. So we have
I
our Ethan side quest, whatever, but we get this part is important.
Yes. This
The
is the only
Jessica lore
reason,
drop.
yeah, that Ethan was okay is the Jezebel shit. The fact that she was an original priestess, I was like, I knew there was something about you. I I wanted it to come back around and it did and it continues to come back around later. I love Jezebel.
I love Jessica. And even when
Watch that.
Jessica was like the like side villain to like Bryce's
Yeah.
story because she's a bitch,
Mhm.
Bryce still like respected her and was like,
Yeah.
oh, she's a badass bitch. Like she sucks, but like she's cool. Like it's
Yeah.
Jessica. She's literally been around for the infamous 15,000 years. We hear over and
That big
over
number.
15,000 years. And so
When
yeah,
you're reading Throne of Glass, I need you to pay attention for 15,000 years.
okay.
Just as you're reading, pay attention
You got
because
it.
it's been too long since I've read the book. See when that number
Okay.
pops up.
I will. I will. Um, and so, yeah, it's just like, "Okay, here we go." Like,
Yeah.
this bitch is old, and so we find out her backstory. A lot of backstories here.
A lotta
Lot
lotta
of
lore
backstory.
drops.
And so we find out
Um,
about the book collection, and it was really funny seeing Ethan do Bryce's job.
yes. That was so cute, and I feel like we could have still had that moment if he was just, like, seeking refugee in the House of Flame and Shadow because Sabine was mad at him. Like, the Singrid plotline did not have to exist at all, and we still coulda got all of the moments we loved and none of the moments I hated.
Yeah, and then when he puts in the password
Yeah.
for Bryce, and like Jessica's like, yeah, whatever. Um, yeah, so that we learned the Jessica lore, which obviously comes back around at the very end.
Mhm.
And
Ah,
now, so is the front of this book like Jessica?
I don't know. I still feel like it could be Andarna or not Andarna. Haha. Mars. Um, Adenine, the dragon.
Ariadne?
Yeah, but, like, I don't
Nice.
know,
Oh wait.
maybe
Well, okay. So there's a descriptor in the book where
mhm.
Sarah says, and her nails were golden and long. And
Oh, who was that
I just
for?
I forget.
Oh, we can look it up.
We'll look it up in a little bit. We'll let you guys know.
Yeah.
But
Um,
but yeah,
yeah, I don't know. But that was the only part that made Ethan's shit worth it for part
worth it.
2.
Yeah.
Also, mommy and daddy are fighting throughout this entire part, the second that they're reunited. And I,
I have a
like,
hard time.
literally
I feel we're gonna get hate for this, but I literally can't freaking stand Bryce and Hunt in this book. Bryce sucks, Hunt sucks.
no.
I'm like, y'all just they were annoying to read. Even when sex scenes came up, I'm like, I don't care.
Oh my god. I
I
literally put down the book
cringe.
at one point. I was like, I think there's gonna be a sex scene. And I loved the sex scenes. I was so excited for Arun and Lydia one. I just like literally so many of my chapters, I'm like, mommy and daddy are fighting. Men are idiots. I also something that really stood out to me in these books because I feel like Bryce and Hunt's relationship was like kind of horrible in this book. They
It's
didn't
not
address one
fulfilling.
another's trauma. They didn't work together as a team very well. It felt a little icky. I don't know. But I wrote down for chapter 56. So obviously something in that chapter must have involved them fighting. I said there's a theory that the same thing you fall in love with a person for is the reason you leave them. And I feel like that is so true. I can see that in like even like Feyre and Tamlin's relationship. Like Feyre fell in love with him because he was protecting her and left him because he was suffocating her with that protectiveness.
Protection.
And I feel like that
Yeah.
carries over to Bryce and Hunt, and I was literally expecting a breakup because Hunt fell in love with her for being like scheming and like he thought she was a party girl, but when he found out she wasn't, like that's what he was in love with, like the way that she could come up with all these like
Yep.
mastermind plans. And even in Sky and Breath, when Bryce engineers Cooper or Emily, whatever his name is, to go to her parents without telling anyone because everyone was
Oh,
fighting over him because he might be a Thunderbird. I remember like Hunt's POV was like, this is why I love Bryce so much because she's so compassionate, because she's doing this scheme behind everyone's back because she knows what's best. And then this book, he's pissed at her for so much for not telling plans, like she's fucking Aelin. And like I'm like that is why you fell in love with her. And like she's mad at him for being like having trauma and being like the Umbris Mortis and like trying to lean back into that character instead of being like just Hunt.
Hunt.
I didn't
Just
understand
Hunt.
that at all. Like who the
I
fuck is Hunt? I
that
don't
was really
know. It just
cringy. If I will say that whole like you're just Hunt, like just Hunt.
yeah.
That was really cringy to me. Um.
No.
Okay, this is why. Because, and I'm gonna try to have some like thoughts here because this book
Yeah.
is just massive. Hence why this is probably our
Mhm.
longest podcast episode ever, which is amazing. Okay, so they are these badass characters that don't
Mhm.
anything affect them, and they get then to each other, they act so childish.
Yeah. They're
It's like,
literally
you are the Umbra Mortis. What? You are the Umbra Mortis. You are amazing, crazy,
mhm.
powerful. Hunt. Why do you have to be just Hunt to like make yourself feel better and like loved? Like, and then in the vice versa, it's like Bryce. Like, literally, he's been tortured, and you
Yeah.
were in a prison cell where they gave you nice food and water. We're actually really nice to you, all things considered. And then you're like, yeah, well, I literally traveled the
Trauma
galaxies.
comparison.
Like, it's like, listen, this man, I can't even tell you how many times I have had to read and suffer through him getting his wings cut off. Like, I'm tired of Hunt's wings getting cut off. Like,
Yeah.
I
I just
I could not stand them in this book. They made me
no.
so mad.
Mm-mm. Like, I loved Bryce on her own when she wasn't
Yes.
dealing with Hunt. But yeah, the energy between them and
Oh,
like I also don't understand how like I feel like Sarah is still planning something where Bryce and Hunt break up. I know this is the end of Bryce and Hunt's story and I don't know if we'll ever see them in a full
I
capacity
don't
again.
know.
But if Bryce ever does go to the Akatar world, like book 1, okay, they fall in love. Literally by the end of book 1, Hunt is like trying to sacrifice his life, like plummeting to the earth, dying for her. Cute. Cool. Book 2 starts off, they're like, oh, like we have a no sex pact, like we don't actually know each other. They become mates, but they like choose to be each other's mates. I think everyone and their mother forgot that Bryce and Hunt got married, and it wasn't until Hunt wouldn't shut up about his wife that I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, you
Oh,
guys
they're
actually
married.
are married. Like, totally forgot about all of that. And then she has them fight this entire book. Like, Sarah J. Maas engineered that. She could have had Bryce be the most supportive, loving wife to the trauma. She could have had Hunt encouraging Bryce's starborn powers and like extra scheming ability. She didn't. Sarah chose to have them fight the entirety of this book. And like, yes, they had their like at the end, like Hunt risked it all for her and like whatever. But I'm also like I don't know, like why did you do this if you don't want me if you're not preparing us for something else? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It was really interesting. I understand if she wanted to bring like a little bit of enemies to lovers back in, like that vibe. Not that they're really
Mhm.
enemies, more like just like a conflict in their relationship that like builds up the tension. But there was none. I was just annoyed.
No.
Like I was like,
Yeah.
I was just annoyed. And
And maybe it's too realistic. Because that's what people are like, oh, Hunt and Bryce's relationship's the most realistic to like what we'd have in real life. And this is a
it
couple
is.
fighting. I don't need to see that in my fantasy book.
Yeah, I did. I'm like, I don't need that. I need the banter. There was no
Yeah.
banter. There was just you are really
Mm-mm.
annoying me and you're really annoying
Yeah.
me and it's like, okay, we're cool, right? And they're like, yeah, we're cool and then she brings in the fantasy again at the end where he's like risking it all for her and all of that. Anyways, so
Whatever.
with that
The
being
Avalon
said,
Island.
yes,
Okay. I think we talked a lot about Lydia
Team
and Rune
Caves and Team
already.
Archives. Yes.
So let's just get into the big part. The ending of Team Caves is their meeting with Hell. I thought it was cool. I really liked the idea that like the Avalon Island kind of mirrors the prison island in Akatar, and there's these mists, and it's protected. The obsidian salt. And we find out that Hunt is like a little test tube baby.
Yeah, so he's like half angel, half demon.
Yeah.
Like that's the way I was understanding it by the end of the
Mhm.
story. Is he's like he really is the Umbra Mortis. Like
He
he
really is.
really
I think that's like a
he's
line in the
angel
book,
and
actually.
devil. Like he
Yeah.
is good and bad. And like that's
Mhm.
why he's so powerful.
Yeah.
Um
I feel like we could have done more with that. I feel like
yes.
that aspect, like none of it, I don't know, it just felt so lukewarm. And even like the fact that he could break off his like crown of thorns, his like dark,
The new
whatever
one.
the fuck they called it, the whole
Yeah.
time. Like, I felt like that was supposed to be such a big moment, but when he does it after, like, bitching at the heartbeat, I'm just like, "Okay, you're whiny."
I'm like, okay. Oh,
I can't
oh,
wait.
yeah. So, regardless, Bryce fucking raises the islands because we find out on a map she sees that there's islands around
Mhm.
Avalon. Also did not understand Avalon, so like that Avalon is like the phase
Yeah, it's
like
like w
realm. That's their
it's their
little
little
spot.
island that Morven is king of,
Yeah, and there's
that,
like
like,
no
Cormac is
first
from.
light, there's no like electric. It's very like
Mhm.
Printhean. So that's
Yeah.
like, and they reference that at the end of the book. But yeah, she raises we see the islands pop up again, and we just see like her power growing and growing.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
all
my
right,
favorite type of fantasy. Like, when the character's magic is linked to, like, the ground and, like, bringing up the islands, like, something similar happens in The Cruel Prince, and I love that shit. I eat it up. And I also think that, like, at the end, Bryce is like, "I'm holding on to Avalon, like, it's gonna be mine," and she's not giving it up. Like, I think she's going to, like, kind of leave Crescent City, and set up there. I don't know. I think it's very cool.
that'll give
But
also like when Sarah writes the next book, like it'll be like, yeah,
yeah.
well, Bryce and Hunter on Avalon, like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
like they're over there. It was
Mhm.
similar when Nesta was like in House of the Wind and Fair and Reese like built their house.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they're over there and I'm here. And so like that
Mhm.
distance like helps a little bit.
To
Um
bring side characters into main character status.
yeah. And so we learn more
Okay.
about Hunt, which was like everyone just scoots on by. And so it was nice to learn more about Hunt though.
Sure.
Yeah. That's the end of
Part
part 2.
3.
Part 3, let's zoom through here. But this is like
Hypaxia and Ethan
crazy.
show up to immediately be sent back home. Just further proving that, like, Ethan has no part in this book. He plays no major role besides being a POV character for us to watch other people do cool shit.
Also, can we talk about I don't know if you have this here.
I might
Um
not.
the Under King and
Oh, yeah, no,
Hypaxia.
I didn't put it on here.
Guys, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I will say when Ethan was able to talk to Connor, even though Ethan shows up late to everything, breaks all of the antidotes.
Oh my
Connor
god.
gives Ethan that bullet that they put all of the dead put
Mhm.
all of their like blast of them
Yeah, their
into.
second light in.
Yeah, and so but then Hypaxia becomes like the
That.
leader of House of Flame
The
and
head
Shadow.
yeah. That
That
was
is
awesome.
so dope. And because
And I'm
Hypaxia
excited.
kind of like
Yeah.
her character went like, and so it was nice
Yeah.
to see like both her and Lydia get that like,
Mhm.
because they are good
Well,
people.
and I think the only reason I will read House of Many Waters when it comes out is because Lydia is going to be helping Rune and Ethan lead the Ox, and then Hypaxia is the head of House of Flame and Shadow. And so I think like we'll get to see them interact more because obviously like they didn't grow up together, they didn't get to really form any relationship, and
Yeah.
Hypaxia kind of was a shitty witch queen. Like she really
Yeah.
was. Like I love the girl, but she was a shitty witch queen, and so I think she's going to do much better in this new position.
And Lydia was also a shitty person too. I mean, we know why
Yeah,
she had to be, but like she wasn't. She
yeah.
was not great at
So
all. So all you Nesta haters, you might as
Peyton
well hate.
cannot stop bringing up Nesta haters because I posted on our TikTok page from our last episode me saying that like if you hate Nesta, you hate Sarah J. Maas because she relates to her. And that video blew the fuck up. And there are people in like our TikTok comments and they're like, these girls are bullies. We hate them.
It's
How
not
could
that deep.
anyone ever like Nesta? Nesta is just a bully, and it's like ridiculous bullshit.
Like then you
But
better hate Lydia.
yeah, then if you cannot forgive Nesta for like she was also just like a bitch. Like let's be fair, like yeah, she said some mean comments, but all Nesta really did was like say some like shitty unwarranted
Really,
comments. We have other characters who are like murdering people, killing people.
Like, "You killed
Rhysand
my
is a
dad."
total dick to everyone in the world but Feyre. Like, I'm sorry, but if you hate Nesta, you better hate every other character that is flawed
Yes. I
because
that's what
make
we're
it
talking
make
about
sense.
Hypaxia and Lydia and, like, even Jessica. I'm like,
Yeah.
I
Like, do you hate
don't
them too?
do you hate them too? Like,
Do you hate anyone who
Hunt
says mean comments? Like,
Hunt
what did Nesta do
literally
that was that bad?
yeah, and yeah, I mean, like, if you hate the Hind, you must hate Lydia because they're the same goddamn person.
Ugh.
Okay, so yes, crazy. I agree with you. I think that they're definitely gonna come back in. I really loved Hypaxia's character in this book, the same way I loved
Yeah.
Lydia's character. Just about I loved all of that. And I understand that Ethan was just the link to that. Um, obviously Ethan like gets his like super daddy powers too, which was
Oh my
like
gosh.
interesting. That whole cure thing was um like, oh, it happened very fast. I will say I understand it
It
had to
happened.
because the book has to
Yeah.
end. But I'm like,
Mhm.
Hypaxia just was like, "Oh yeah, let's create something."
Yeah. It was a little rushed, and
Yeah.
I just
And they kept
I
breaking.
don't know.
Like,
Like,
can we get a
I
better vial to put this like antidote in maybe that won't break because
I
it keeps happening.
oh my god, I was so pissed in the final battle when Rune takes the last of the cures. And then one, like, fucking does nothing with his, like, level up. I hate the oh my god. I literally almost vomited in this book. The amount that they said the word level up and they're like, "Oh, he looks like he leveled up. Look at them leveling up." And I'm like, "I know we can say modern lingo, but that doesn't mean we need to be the most annoying people throughout the entirety of this book. If I have to read the word level up one more time in my life, I am going to rip the book in half. It didn't need to be there. It didn't need to be there that much. And then Bryce and Hunt's level up happened off screen. I was like, how could you like Bryce is struggling throughout the entire battle about the fact that she just like isn't strong enough, like
She doesn't
she's
have
getting
it.
tired, she needs more power, and they don't get the cure. And I knew as soon as Hypaxia was like, be careful now. If it gets shaken up too much, it'll be ruined. I knew that they weren't going to get one. But that was so fucking annoying. Like, Lydia
Like I
deserved to
would
take one, but it made
yes.
no sense for Hunt. Like, Hunt or Bryce should have taken it during the battle. We should have fucking seen that.
Like we Hunt's powers are like crazier than we thought they were. He takes the
Yeah.
antidote and then goes into the black hole and saves her, maybe without like
Yeah.
Sandriel's help or like whatever. Like whatever. What's her name?
Yeah. Sahara. I don't know. But it's Sandriel was the bad one. The good twin that he was in love with. It's like
Yeah.
SA. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, we know
Wait.
what you mean.
Okay. Well, at the end when the black hole is open.
Yeah. It's the twin who Hunt was in love with.
Oh.
Sandriel is the bad twin who killed her.
Oh,
And then
gotcha.
Bryce killed Sandriel in like book 2 or
Yes.
something like that.
Yes. That was her
It's
first. Yes.
Sah-
It's the other one.
Shahara.
Whatever.
Shahara.
That
Something like that.
bitch.
Yeah.
Um.
Uh
the,
yeah.
but
Anyways, back to Hypaxia and Ethan
yes.
real quick. Ethan becomes Prime. Good for him. I don't care.
I thought him and Perry were
I
gonna
was
fuck.
just so sad. I was so sad when the Prime died. Like when Grandpa Prime died, I was like, he was my
Grandpa.
favorite side character. I
And
loved him. He has my favorite quote from book 1 is when he's like, there is a wolf out there, talking about Bryce and like calling Bryce a wolf. Like that made me cry in book 1. And then he like dies for no good reason in this book. Like he
I
still could
know.
have appointed Ethan like Arab. I don't know. I
And
love
and
him.
then Perry's the only one like sitting there at the end,
Yeah.
which he keeps
Mhm.
on talking about how she smells like cinnamon or whatever. I'm like,
Oh my god,
just fuck
his mate
already.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming back in another book. Um, but she's like,
Just
I'm
poor
just
Mo.
waiting. He deserves a sailing. And he's like, there will be no more sailings.
The Salients are actually horrible, like, I know it's a big part of our culture, but it's, part of the intergalactic parasites. Like, shut up.
Yeah,
Just
shut up.
call them
And
the
he's like
Asteri.
I'm gonna go dig a hole. I just
I'm
imagine him
gonna
in his wolf
bury him.
form, like digging
Yeah.
a hole. Not like digging a hole, but he's like digging a hole.
Yes.
And like
Oh my gosh.
all these wolves are bitches. Like they like run off to the forest because they're scared.
Yeah.
And I guess wolves go on like holiday where they like are off for like 2 months. I don't understand. I don't.
It
I seriously
it's
do
because
not.
she couldn't have Ethan gather the wolves because she didn't have a place for them in the final battle, and she wants Ethan like gaining the favor of the wolves to be part of book 4. Literally it's there's just so much shit in here that happened only for book 4. Like Tharian's whole thing with Sathia, like his
Oh yeah, and
wife.
she runs
Like
away at the end of the book, and we don't get a
all
conclusion
of
to that.
that, and then, like, at the end, like, Tharian's last point of view is, like, the dragon bitch shows back up, and, like, it's all promo for House of Many Waters, which is annoying.
Cool. Yeah, well, whatever.
But
So
back to
setting it up.
Bryce.
Let's talk about
Bryce
this
and
ending here. Like,
yes, Bryce goes to the Northern Rift with Hunt and her parents, and she opens it to the
oh,
Agatar world to talk to Nesta!
when Nesta and Cassian are just sitting there like drinking tea, and they're like,
Yeah.
I love when Hunt steps into the Akatar world. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's the first time or second time.
That's the
And
second time.
Cassian's like, and Hunt's like, I'm like, relax. And Nesta and
Yeah,
Bryce are like, these men, like,
yes, and Nesta
ne-
literally says alpha holes because she's just heard Bryce say it so many times. Love,
just
love.
any interaction, like those are my favorite parts of the book. Just all the interactions
Yes,
between.
for real.
So she literally shoves her parents, Randall and Ember, into the world and is like,
Yes.
I'll be back for them.
That was honestly probably my favorite scene in the whole book. Like just the fact that that was a Bryce twist that I liked. She had actually been planning to talk to the Akatar world first. She gets the mask. I loved that interaction with Nesta, and I loved her being like, even if you won't give the mask, like please take and protect my parents. Like they're just humans, and like Nesta obviously has a soft spot for humans. And I loved that. I thought it was so like I just love seeing Nesta actually.
Yeah, I just like acting Nesta. Yeah, so that was amazing. And then Hunt goes all like baby
Whiny.
gossip, whiny little. He's like, I think he just has had it. Like this is his
Yeah.
third time going through this like rebellious
Yeah.
cause, and he's just like fucking tired of it. He's old. He's just like, I'm done with
Yeah.
this childish shit. Like I'm over it. Why are you here? And then we find out that his thunder was used to like revive the harpy, and like
We
okay, and like it was, and then when the harpy like came back together like a horror movie, I was like, this is ridiculous. But then that sets up
Yeah.
the like redemption arc for the angels and or what an archangel really
Whatever.
is and whatever. So
Okay. The
yes.
only thing I want to talk about here, and like I don't know exactly when this information was fully processed, which is why I just have it shoved in here. But I'm pretty sure that they confirmed that Cauldron Mommy is Erd. That like they were worshiping the same god because of like how they made like the powers of like the made objects and whatever. I'm trying to
Yes.
see. I had it.
So
I
yeah.
highlighted it.
So in the in Corinthian versus
Oh
like
yes.
Crescent City, they're like, okay, so what you call the Asteri this, but I call the Asteri this. You call made objects this, but you call the cauldron this, but we call the cauldron that. Like it's just like a change in perspective, I feel.
So I thought yes for all of it, except for, in my opinion, or at least in my perception at first, for the like cauldron, because the cauldron is obviously the Akatar's world's god, and then like Midgard has their own entirely like pantheon of gods. And Throne of Glass has their own pantheon of gods. And like none of these gods are the same. And so I thought they still had different gods. But it's the Underking who says this right before Hypaxia kills him. It's at 83%. It says, and she, the Underking, went on, gesturing to the unusual depiction of Erd towering above him, was not a goddess, but a force that governed worlds, a cauldron of life, brimming with the language of creation. Erd, they called her here, a bastardized version of her true name. Word, we call her in the old world. So the cauldron, aka Erd, aka Word, is WYRD,
Word marks.
is
Uh,
yes, is the
Throne of
connection
Glass.
between all three worlds, and I think that that's going to be so important later. He also says that with the language of creation. And we find out later that Regulus says that the through love all is possible that's etched onto Bryce's back with the horn is written in Regulus's language. So I think that the Astari are obviously bad and they like feed off of everyone's powers. But if it's their language, I think they are parasites from this world, from this old world that we haven't seen yet. That
Throne of Glass.
is the world that Erd is the and the cauldron is the original god like is from. And I like we need to see that world. I think like there's going to be a new book series that has all like endgame style everyone in it, and it is going to be figuring out that world.
I'd be interested because at the end of this book, Bryce says to Nesta, like, that's the alley oop for the next Akatar.
Mhm.
What if Nesta goes through the same process of world stepping, but world steps
Yeah,
into Aelin, and Aelin is the like, that is the like, Turn of Glass has to come through the Akatar 5 series,
that's the
and
point. Yeah.
literally Sarah J. Maas's books are going to turn into, this is a 20 book long book series, and
Mhm.
like,
You
step
have to
in.
read it all. Yeah. Well, that brings us to
That's why I'm
when
speed reading Turn
Lydia.
of Glass.
Yes,
I
when
this has
Lydia
there's
takes the potion.
too many Throne of Glass. Too
Okay.
much.
At 92%, when Lydia takes the cure, obviously Lydia appears as fire, and she is a stag shifter, which, if you don't know, in the Throne of Glass world, stag is like the old king and like the big imagery of Terrasen, the world, the country that Aelin is from. She says, Lydia is thinking about her ancestry and why she named one of her sons Bran. Why she named Brandon after the oldest legends from her family's bloodline of a Fey king from another world, fire in his veins, who created stags with the power of his flame to be his sacred guards. That is straight up from the Throne of Glass. Like the Throne of Glass, the one of the major characters that like in the past in their history is King Brannon, who is Aelin's ancestor. And literally Lydia confirms that her bloodline dates back to him. So Bryce is related to Reese and Lydia is related to Aelin. There's
It's
no way
all
she's not there's no
connected.
way Aelin's not coming. Aelin will be coming. Sarah loves Aelin more than anyone. She's
And the
coming.
fact that when she opened up these books to the Akatar world, it was like it's an all like, why
Mhm.
wouldn't you bring in Throne of Glass? Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Mhm.
And so I think that Akatar 5 is going to be like Crescent City 2, Crescent
Yeah.
City 3, where we are going to, and then maybe, like you said, the next books, this is like 3 of them. You know, there
Mhm.
is more bad out there. I think House of Many Waters is going to serve the purpose of like A Court of Frost and Starlight, how
Yeah.
it was like a novella and
Mhm.
it's a connector. I think that's gonna like serve that purpose. It's definitely not gonna be this behemoth of a book.
Mhm.
And I think it's gonna connect even
Yeah.
more. Like, we are just at the
I'm
beginning
so
of this
excited.
journey. Like,
We're
I
just at
don't
the
think
beginning.
I don't think you all are prepared. We are at the beginning because when Aelin shows up, when you have
I'm gonna cry.
Bryce, Nesta, and Aelin, like,
Oh
I'm
my gosh.
sorry.
Oh, speaking of that, I know everyone is out there and Time said that ACOTAR 6 is going to be as in Elaine's book. I think this book confirms that we are going to get another Nesta book. I do, like,
It's
listen,
Nesta.
at the end, Bryce, like, I think actually the next ACOTAR book, ACOTAR 6, is going to be Elaine and Azriel's love story. Either with them ending up together or them starting, like, you think they're going to get together, and then it's actually about them both finding their own separate partners, kind of like Tower of Dawn works. But I think that ACOTAR 7 is going to come out before any additional endgame thing, and it is going to be a Nesta book again. Because at the end of this book, Bryce gives Truth Teller and the Star Sword back to Nesta. Nesta has the 8-pointed star tattoo on her, and there is just no fucking way that Nesta does not become the High Lady of the Dusk Court. Because listen to me, okay? We know from Bryce's point of view that if you have the right powers, you can raise all the islands up and return the planet, like return the island to its natural state and beauty. Nesta also is constantly talking in all of the books to Rhys and was in the Ember bonus chapter about how she is not Rhysand's subject. She has made it so fucking clear time and time again that she is not a subject of the Night Court. She is not a citizen of the Night Court. He does not have power over her. She's just kind of living there right now because that's where her mate lives. Whereas like Elaine is Reese's subject. Like she's just came in and she's just like chilling in there. And I think it's because everyone thought it was going to be Elaine, but I think that Nesta is going to kill all the monsters in the prison, return the prison back up to the original glory of the Dusk Court, and become High Lady of the Dusk Court.
I do
And that
too.
also makes it Cassian, the like Prince of Bastards, is going to actually be a High Lord.
Yes, I know. I think that's definitely what's gonna happen, and I
Yeah,
think we're definitely gonna get another Nesta book. And
I need it. I need it right now. I love
I feel the
Nesta.
haters just
Seething.
they're just like, not another
Not
Nesta
another
book,
Nesta book.
not Nesta again.
I hate
Um,
her.
I hate Nesta.
Okay. Going back a little bit,
Yeah,
the very end, this final battle,
let's talk
I
about
think
this ending here.
Raising the Fallen was really sick.
That
I
was cool.
think
That was cool.
Shahara or whatever her name is helping Hunt save Bryce was cool.
Yeah.
I think the black hole scene might, like the black voids and the bigger black void. I don't know how like Jacob is a rocket scientist. I don't know how he would feel about the science of that, but I think it was cool.
It was weird how
But
it's
like
like
also
starts
this
from a
battle
little point.
sucked.
It's like
Yeah. This battle sucked.
this battle. Okay, the battle between like the actual just battle was stupid. The only part of this I liked was when
Yeah.
you're at that breaking point where, oh my gosh, Ethan shows up with the bullet, and she's standing in front of all of the rest of the Asteri, and we find out fully about the first light tubes or whatever
Yeah.
light tubes, and how like
Mhm.
she's meant to shoot the tube to like explode them, and those are kind of like their lifelines. It was giving
Mhm.
Volturi from Twilight to me. Like, that
Yeah.
is how I
Yeah.
see this palace, and like how these,
Mhm.
like, to me they're like soul-sucking vampires, like, live their life.
Yeah.
Like, they're literally feeding upon people's like powers for themselves. I'm sorry, that's like a vampire, but whatever. So when we learn like this is the kill switch for Midgard,
Mhm.
like, good luck,
Yeah.
like, you're gonna die too. And then the black hole thing was really confusing because it's like, okay, this is the kill switch, and I may have missed something, but also like she can close it, but like and then the hole is closing, but it's not closing when it's like the big hole, and then Hunt's
And
like,
how
I
did
gotta go, and you're just like, what?
what? Yeah. So, like, there was a little black hole that started when she flipped the kill switch that was going to eventually expand and eat up all of Midgard. So, what Bryce did is put a big black hole that ruined the entire palace and, like, I guess killed anyone who was in the palace who didn't get out. And then, like, everyone was, like, holding open the black hole, which, like, I don't know, the fact that the message at the end of this book series was just, like, "It's about the friends we make along the way," was so fucking corny. Like, the way we won the battle at the end of the day and, like, Bryce survived is all of, like, "The princes of hell and everyone from all houses
We're
and the
all
little" like,
in
everyone
this
this
together.
together. Literally, they're just like, "We will hold the black hole open for you," and I'm like,
Like,
"So
how
we're
do they have like power they're like
saving."
putting in, or are they just like, okay, we
No,
can't
I
open it?
literally do you know in gym class that, like, tarp thing that you, like, squish
Yes.
up? I'm picturing everyone just, like, holding, like, their little handle of the black hole to keep it open as Hunt's careening in. It was just silly. It was
Ridiculous.
just, like, a silly, goofy little time. And then, like, I get that, like, "Through love, all is possible" is, like, this big thing, but, like, it is corny.
It is.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it
They
is.
saved the
It's
day with the power of friendship, guys. I don't know, y'all. This is so crazy. I am so excited for the future. I also loved that the book was wrapped up, at least for Bryce and Hunt. Well, with two things, but one, the starting a new Griffin's Antiques. Literally, I
yes.
said at the beginning of the vlog, I was like, I got this Griffin Antique sweatshirt, and I know it's like never going to be mentioned and be so irrelevant. And that wasn't the case
No,
because,
it's
like,
not.
Jezebel literally, like, planned in her will to give Bryce all of these things. And, like,
Yes.
that sacrifice scene, literally, I was bawling. I finished the book while watching the Super Bowl, and, like, you can see Jacob in the background being like, "Pay attention to the game, like, crazy shit's happening because it's, like, in the 4th quarter, like,
Oh
literally,
no.
they're so close, and I'm like, "No, you don't understand! Jessica sacrificed her life for Bryce, and now she sees Danica and Connor in heaven, and she's not gonna go, she's gonna get
Guys,
resurrected." Like,
that's that scene, seeing them all on the hill with
yeah.
Lahaba and Danica, like
Yes.
that's a Sarah J. Maas ending. And we were
Yeah.
talking about like our conspiracies, tin hat theories about
Mhm.
how it's gonna end, and someone commented like, "Well, Sarah did say she likes happy endings," and like we were
Yeah.
rooting for their death, and they Bryce the mask when the mask was like dead, like when all
Yeah.
Hunt was ignoring what the mask was saying when he put it on, and the
Mhm.
mask was like dead, 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 dead. And if we know Sarah, that bitch ain't dying.
You know there's gonna be resurrection.
A
I'm so sick.
resurrection.
I'm tired of the resurrections. Every ACOTAR
I
character
know.
gets resurrected. Now the Crescent City characters get
That's
resurrected.
her
Book
thing.
1 ended with them getting resurrected. I
That's
think
her
Bryce
thing.
and Hunt, they should have died, and then they should have had their happy ending in heaven. Like, we saw Danica there in heaven. I think,
Yeah.
like, they should have died, and then they could have told Danica, they're like, "We met Baxian, like, we met your mate, like, he's gonna come join us one day after, like, living a good life." I don't know.
I think we were just like preparing ourselves for like either side. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, whatever Sarah decides is what I'm happy with, but also like I was preparing myself for the worst, and then I got
Yeah.
a very happy ending, and I was like,
Yeah. I hate the resurrections. Like, it makes
resurrection trope
death
is my feel
it's my
not
least
worth.
favorite thing. The only time I liked it in the SJM universe is the very first time it happened with Feyre, because that was how she became Fae. And
Say,
that made a
yeah.
lot of sense, and that was a really powerful moment. And it also had a huge cost. Like, all of the High Lords had to give a little bit of their magic. What was the cost of this time? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Jezebel's, like, trade, and, like, I loved
Yeah.
that moment for Jezebel, but I don't know.
Right.
I feel
Yeah,
like it could have
it's
been better.
complex. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
sometimes having those gut-wrenching just like but this is the end of their story, and Sarah likes happy endings, and so, you know,
yeah,
if
good
that's
for
how it has
them.
to be, that's good for them.
I don't have
Oh,
to listen to mommy and daddy fight anymore, so I don't care.
yeah, I'm kind of over it. I love at the
Their
end
story's
too, like
done.
Rune and Lydia with their boys. Like Rune takes the boys because Lydia starts doing her like fire shit, and Lydia
Yes,
with the fire sprites at the end, they all come together, and like Lydia's like burning herself alive basically. And I
so
just like
amazing. So
Rune
Aelin.
is stepdaddy. Like he is stepdaddy
He is. And when he,
with the
like,
boys.
thinks in, Ace's head and is like, "I'll take care of her for you," like,
When he talks into his head, yeah, and then later when they get the apartment and the beer and
and
the
he's
fridge
like,
is full of beer, and they're like, "Well, the only place was underneath Hunt and Bryce," but I don't know,
"Yeah."
like that's the quirky Crescent City banter I
Yes.
love. That
Yes.
like that is what just like makes me really happy. And then of course when Bryce gets the call from Baxter and he's like, "There's these horses, they're like
This is
flying," and she's like,
life.
"The Pegasus are back."
Jelly Jubilee in real life have come. I don't know. Bryce kept thinking about the Pegasus, and it was a big thing throughout the book, and I just didn't care. I was like, "Yep, you have an ancient history," and moved on with my life. But it really wrapped
No.
around, and I'm happy for
My
her.
my like little fairy rainbow spirit was like unicorns.
Unicorns, flying
Guys,
horses,
oh,
so
and then of
cute.
course she ends the royal fae. She's basically like,
Yes,
we are ending this. Like that's kind of like
bold, but good for her. Good luck with the democracy. I think that's gonna be another, like, plot point for
the whole
House of
tower
Many
thing.
Waters.
Like they don't have
Yeah,
electric and all that stuff and
yeah. Well, yeah, because 'cause they've gotta figure out about either using magic again for electric or,
creating it.
like, discover electricity. Because, I mean, you have all this tech, I feel like you could discover electricity, like, pretty easily. I don't know. Like, I'm surprised that we haven't yet. Like, I know we had magic and it worked, but, like, if they put Midgard back in, like, Perinthian, like, ACOTAR world level stuff, I'm gonna be like, "What the fuck?" Like, no, you're
Also,
not giving up your phones, you're not giving up the internet.
for a minute there, they were like all like tax the rich, like
Yeah, they
agenda. They're
were
like,
like, "Eat
what
the
if we
rich."
tax? What if we eat
What if
the
we make
rich?
the archangels just pay for it all?
Like, what if it's gonna
Okay.
take every their power? It's like it was
We
funny
can
there
see
for a
Sarah's
second.
political stances coming out. Sarah says, "Tack the rich." You are the rich, babe.
Yeah, like welcome to your new life. Anyways, so
Love it.
the end of this book is insane and crazy, and once again, we could do a whole other podcast just on the end. We could. These books are huge, and thank you for sticking it through with us and hearing our
Yes,
thoughts.
our longest episode ever. Let us know if you like the longer format. Like, we kind of got into
Yeah.
every point, and I feel like usually we just kind of talk about what excites us and moves on with life.
Yeah, and I was feeling a little like scared about the long, but every podcast and even YouTuber, like their vlogs are over an hour long for this book just because it's the last book in the
Beefy.
series and it's just so big. So do not get it twisted. We like giving all angles and viewpoints. We
Mhm.
loved this book. This book is amazing. We enjoyed every bit of it. So any hate, at the end of the day, we just love Sarah J. Maas. So like, you know,
Yes,
whatever.
Moss.
But that is all we have time for today, really, because
That
we
is
have been doing
yes.
this all day. So, like, comment, subscribe. What do you think is on the horizon for these next ACOTAR Crescent City
Yes.
books? Or do you agree with me? Are we just at the beginning? Are we just at the beginning of all of
Are we
this? I
just
am so
starting?
so interested to know.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us and happy reading.
Yeah.
Sick.